And we are live. Welcome back to Takes by Fans. We got a great show for you today. As always, we are live every single day at noon Eastern. If you want to watch live, head over to twitch.tv/takesbyfans. If you want to watch but not live, head over to our YouTube channel, Takes by Fans. We post all of our shows and clips of the show there on a daily basis. And if you just want to listen, we are on podcasting apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. So however you want to watch or listen, we've got you covered multiple ways. Alrighty, folks, today is a big old Friday, and we got to reorder our NBA Power Rankings. It has been in a full week since the resumption after the All-Star break last Thursday. We played a full week of games till this Thursday, yesterday, and now today on Friday. We take what we've seen over the last week and reorder our power rankings, folks, and buckle up because there are tons of movement. New number one team, 3 new teams in the top 10, folks, tons of movement. So we are taking this week and weighing it so much more than kind of what we've weighed everything else up until this point, just because, I mean, you had a week off rest. We're at the back end stretch of the season. This is where everybody is starting to kind of play their best basketball. And if you came out this first week flat, that's unfortunate for you. You're dropping in the power rankings and may not even be in the top 10 anymore, folks. I mean, we got somebody. I will preface it by saying this. I don't want to spoil the team, but we do have one team that has fallen very mightily, folks, from top 5 to not even in the top 10 anymore. We are not playing around. If you did not come out and show out this week, well, you've got some bad news because you may not even be in the top 10 anymore. And we have a big jump, folks. We got a big jump from outside the top 5 to inside the top 3. Giant movement all across the board because we saw some great, spectacular team wins this week, first week back from the All-Star break. So we will be rewarding those teams that did so. So, got to update our power rankings today on the show. We also will be getting to, and I promise this will be happening, folks, we will finally get to our NFL final thoughts of what we just saw this season before the whirlwind of the offseason, the draft, free agency, trades, all of that get off more than what they already have. So, getting our final thoughts down for the AFC East, we'll go over the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Try to get to all of those 4 teams today, getting our final thoughts on each of those teams. We also have about 4 stories to go over as well in the NFL, but we can go over all of those quickly. So we got time today on the show, some segments to get through, and I know we can get through them all today, folks. So buckle in, hopefully. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he's making an appearance on today's show. We've got no Aaron Rodgers stuff to talk about unless something pops up, which you never know with Aaron Rodgers. It could happen. So hopefully we don't have to talk about Aaron Rodgers today. We're keeping our fingers crossed so we can get to everything we need to get to today. So with all that being said, let's start with the NBA. We'll do all that, then we'll switch gears to the NFL. So let's start here with what we just saw in the NBA last night. We had 4 bets going. We went 2 of 2 last night. Got, once again, there's these 2.5 point spreads ever since the All-Star break has ended and the resumption of the season began again. Vegas has been putting out these 2.5 point spreads that are just eating us alive, folks. We think we're on the right side with the great value, and then the team that we bet on gets absolutely blown out and really kind of not that competitive in the most kind of specific sense, if you will. So 2 of 2 last night. Definitely could do better, and we can bet tonight. So we will try to get back on track. We are officially 5-7. Yeah, 5-7 over the last 2 days. So we're ready to kind of go 100% on every single day. Once again, what we said last night. You know, anybody can kind of have a great day. It's stringing them along together, and we kind of let you down a little bit last night, especially with the 2 games that we missed, feeling confident, but it speaks volumes to the teams that did not hit the bet. So we'll talk all through it, but let's start with the first game up, and one game that we bet on, Bulls at the Hawks, and man, oh man, we took the Bulls -1 because the Hawks weren't kind of one of the upper echelon teams that the Bulls can't beat. The Bulls cannot beat kind of the playoff caliber teams. We didn't think the Hawks were kind of playoff caliber at the current moment. We do know they are kind of turning the corner a little bit slowly than some other teams like the Mavericks, like the Pelicans. I mean, going 100 miles an hour around that corner turn, where the Hawks are kind of taking a little bit more safely around kind of 25, 30 miles an hour, pumping the brakes when they kind of hit the turn. But this Hawks team is truly turning the corner here, and the Bulls not being able to close out this game, and really all it came down to was the clutch 3-point shooting by the Hawks, and that's really where the Bulls are not that good. They are really not that great of a 3-point shooting team overall. Their big stars, Vucevic, I mean, he takes threes. He's a big. He hits some threes. I would take Joel Embiid hitting threes. I take Karl Anthony Towns hitting threes over Vucevic. But we still have Vucevic taking some threes. Not that great of a shooter. Then we have DeMar DeRozan, who rarely takes threes. This man doesn't really, the man puts up 40 points without even attempting a three-pointer. The man's all mid-range. So we don't have Vucevic, the number, part of the big three, shooting great threes. We don't have DeMar DeRozan, another part of the big three for the Bulls, not being able to hit big threes. And then we have Zach LaVine, who can hit the big threes when he needs to. But this Hawks team, they got Trae Young and Bogdanovic, and man, oh man, did they pull up in the clutch last night, because we get it right here. Bulls up 2 points with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. They're up 118-116. Bogdanovic gets the ball in his hands. He's about to fire a three here. Look at this great pass. Oh my God, that great no-look pass by Trae Young. Bogdanovic cashes out from the corner three. Now the Hawks are up 1. Now Hawks still up 1. Next possession, Trae Young says, well, I can assist on a three, but I can also drain the three as well. Trae Young with the step back three. That cashes out. Now a 4-point lead. And once you've got a 4-point lead, Trae Young says, hey, let me hit it again. They go from down 2 to up 7 just like that in 3 consecutive possessions. And that was the game. Bulls not dominating, but pretty much winning the entire game until the clutch time comes. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Nobody can score for the Bulls, and they just got freaking hit with 3 back-to-back three-pointers on 3 consecutive possessions, and that's why they end up losing this game by 6, 130-124. So the Bulls, who's going to be that kind of clutch three-point shooter when they need it? They don't have that on the roster, so we didn't have the Bulls in the top 10. Our kind of inaugural top 10 after the All-Star break, and I can tell y'all right now they're not making their way inside the top 10 when we reorder the power rankings today. So the Bulls once again letting us down big time against a real solid, decent, emerging team that we just saw the Hawks last night. So Bulls, leaving a real bad taste in our mouth as of late. But for the Hawks last night, Trae Young did his thing, 39 points, 13 assists, shooting 7 of 9 from the three, and then the rest of the starters got it done as well. Everybody in double-digit scoring last night. Kevin Huerter, 17 points. Clint Capella, 12 points. Danilo Gallinari, 11 points. And DeAndre Hunter, 18 points. And once again, folks, Bogdanovic coming off the bench, folks. This is his spot. He's still playing, kind of starting minutes, but he's not in the starting lineup, and we still get Bogdanovic playing to his best. Clutch in the fourth quarter. Second leading scorer last night, 20 points, 4 of 10 from the three. So still getting that great production that we need from Bogdanovic. So this Hawks team, we can continue to kind of observe them. They do have the potential chance of getting in the top 10. Not going to spoil anything, but definitely need to see maybe a little bit more consistency here for the Hawks. But this was a good starting point of beating a Bulls team last night. And then for the Bulls, we get Demar Derozan. He had 22 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. That was good, but 0 of 1 from the 3. No. Vucevic down low, 21 points, 5 assists, 11 rebounds, 1 of 4 from the 3. Womp, womp. We get Zach LaVine, 22 points, 7 assists. He shot 4 of 7 from the 3. That's the only real three-point shooter that we can truly consistently count on. We had Ayo still at the starting 1, 15 points, 4 assists. He shot 1 of 1 from the 3. And then we have Kobe White coming off the bench, 15 points, 5 assists. He shot 3 of 5 from the 3. So we love the guard play by the Bulls. The big three are pretty solid overall, but they need to have some clutch ability down late in the fourth quarter. They need to start beating some of the upper echelon teams, and until they do so, they're not going to be even sniffing. I don't even know if I have this like Bulls team in like top 15, honestly. Like, honestly, folks, I know this Bulls team, what are they, still number 2? They still number 2 in the Eastern? They dropped down to number 3. But number 3 in the Eastern Conference, I mean, I don't even know if this Bulls team is like top 15 teams in the league. We've got our top 10. We're going to unveil a little bit later in the show. They're not in the top 10. I have an idea for number 11. I have an idea for number 12. I have an idea for like number 13. I don't even know if I can put this Bulls team in like the top 13 teams in the league. That's how that's how kind of fraudulent they are, folks. Yes, I know they're 39-24, third in the Eastern Conference, but this is all fraudulent activity, fraudulent behavior, fraudulent performances, and I'm not buying it. I'm not falling for fraudulence, folks. I'm not falling for it. So, Bulls, you're going to have to do something absolutely wild, absolutely crazy if you want to try to get kind of back on the good side of over here at Takes by Fans, but until that happens, it's going to be a long season, long rest of the season here for the Bulls. I'm not buying them, folks. I'm not buying them. So, Bulls get the loss, 130-124. Don't cover the -1. Womp, womp. Shout out to the Hawks, though. All right, next game up, folks, and we were excited about this game. We could not wait to watch this game, and did it live up to the hype? It was pretty good. A little disappointed in the Grizzlies' performance overall, but the mother-loving Celtics, folks, oh my God. No Jaylen Brown, and they get it done, and then the guy that replaced Jaylen Brown in the starting lineup got injured like 5 minutes into the game, and they were still able to win. Wow. Celtics are the true dogs here. Shout out to the head coach. Shout out to everybody on the Celtics team. And a little bit of a wink here, folks. Watch out for the Celtics in the power rankings. That's all I'm going to say. Watch out for this team in the power rankings because, it's going to get crazy in the power rankings. I'm telling you, folks, it's getting crazy in the power rankings. Shout out big time for the Celtics getting the win, 120-107. Covered the -2.5 here, and now once again Vegas, they know what they're talking about. We thought it was crazy that the Celtics would be -2.5 with no Jaylen Brown, but Vegas knows what they're talking about, folks. We got to give credit to Vegas, for the most part. We still find great value, for the most part as well. But, Vegas at the end of the day, they don't lose money, folks. And once again, these 2.5 point spreads that we have been really kind of I have to admit it, folks. We have been falling into the trap that Vegas has been setting with these 2.5 point spreads ever since the All-Star break. It's like one every single day. There's a really kind of close 2.5 point spread that we think we're on the right side on, which turns out we're not even close. I mean, the Grizzlies lost by 13, folks. We had +2.5. They lose by 13. That's not even close to covering. So, we're going to really have to kind of double down and really make sure the next time that there's a 2.5 point, maybe even 3 point spread, that we're on the right side, and kind of make sure that we're on the right side and double and triple check. Hey, are we going to get kind of fooled here? Are we on the right side? So let's keep out and keep watch for those close spreads because they have just been eating us alive, folks, honestly. So I gotta kind of, give some respect to Vegas there for, getting one over on us. Doesn't really happen that often, but here we are getting one pulled over on us. So Celtics get the big O win and looking really great while doing so. And it wasn't like, this game was kind of back and forth and the Celtics were up and the Grizzlies were up and then the Grizzlies were up and then the Celtics were up and then the Grizzlies and then the Celtics and going back and forth. No. There was only 2 lead changes this entire game, folks. I want to say one early in the first quarter, and I want to say maybe the Grizzlies overtook the lead maybe early second quarter, and that was really the last lead change. So the Celtics team dominated the entire game, folks, and closed out in the fourth quarter. I mean, this was such an impressive game by the Celtics last night, winning 120-107. So for the Celtics, they didn't have Jaylen Brown, so they put Aaron Nesmith in the starting lineup at the 2, and we thought Derek White would move to the 2 in the starting lineup, but that was not the case. So Aaron Nesmith goes to the 2, but he only played 5 minutes and had to exit the game, so hopefully he's healthy. And hopefully he's not going to be out too long. But, I mean, their starter goes out, their backup goes out, and they still dominate. That's so impressive, folks. We've got to start respecting this Celtics team so much more. So Jason Tatum gets it done, 37 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. We had Al Horford. Al Horford steps it up here, folks. The bigs. Yes, folks, the bigs. Al Horford was the second leading scorer. Once again, we were a little kind of hesitant to take the Celtics because we were like, I don't know, can Derek White be kind of that second leading scorer next to Jason Tatum, or is Marcus Smart going to be kind of that second leading scorer next to Jason Tatum? But at the end of the day, it was Al Horford who was the second leading scorer next to Jason Tatum. Al Horford, 21 points, 5 assists, 15 rebounds, up plus 18 on the floor in 39 minutes, played the most minutes, had the highest plus minus. This is a Bigs world, folks. Man, oh man, what a performance by the Celtics. Then we had Robert Williams, 10 points, 12 rebounds. Then Marcus Smart doing his thing, 18 points, 12 rebounds. 12 assists, excuse me. Yes, Marcus Smart. We all have to start respecting him more as well. And then off the bench, Derek White, 12 points, getting it done. And Grant Williams kind of filling in for that 2 of Aaron Nesmith, filling in for the 2 of Jaylen Brown. But Grant Williams, 11 points and 4 assists. We will absolutely take that as well. So, well done by everybody on the Celtics, digging in deep, depth-wise, to fill in for Jaylen Brown, and they get it done. This was a masterful performance, coaching-wise, playing-wise by the Celtics, and I really can't gush over the Celtics anymore, folks. I'm absolutely loving it, and it will be reflected in the power rankings coming up. All right, and then for the Grizzlies last night, Ja Morant, trying his damnedest to do it all. 38 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 4 of 12 from the 3. The three-point shooting early on really kind of got the Grizzlies down bad. Nothing was falling for them in the first and second quarter, and Celtics were able to get the lead, and they just never kind of let go of it. Grizzlies would kind of, yo-yo the lead, 10-point plus lead for the Celtics, brought down to maybe 4, 5, 6, and then re-expanded back up to 10, 12, and then kind of re-shrunk back down to 4, 5, 6, and then reopened right back up. So the Celtics, they just were not ever going to let that lead go. And once again, another huge reason why the Celtics team deserves so much more credit. Great defense, closing out games. So Ja Morant had a pretty solid game overall, in the stats, but needed to be a little bit more efficient alongside everybody else. We had Jaren Jackson Jr., 20 points, and then Desmond Bane, 17 points, and those were the only 3 players in 10-plus point category. We had Zaire Williams, 5 points, but on 33% shooting. We had DeAnthony Melton off the bench, 5 points on 28% shooting. Tyus Jones, 3 points on 16% shooting, just not being able to get it done. So Grizzlies, we'll see. Are they going to be kind of turn out to be frauds here? Are we falling for a little bit of the over propaganda of the Grizzlies? I mean, honestly, folks, the ESPN, the main kind of national media, social media accounts, I mean, all they show is Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Even though they've kind of been losing this week, they just keep pounding how great Ja Morant is, and yes, he's very explosive. All the kind of highlight dunks that he has. He just had a game winner the other night, so we understand it at that. But, I mean, there's other teams to talk about. I mean, nobody's even talking about the Pelicans. Nobody's even talking about the Celtics. Nobody's even talking about the Celtics that just blew out the Grizzlies. So, I think maybe we have fallen for a little bit, a tad. I don't think I'm buying into it that much, but I think I am maybe falling for a little bit of the propaganda of the Grizzlies and Ja Morant. But yeah, they're still a good team. They are going to drop a little bit in our power rankings. We will say that. But watch out for the propaganda on the Grizzlies and Ja Morant, folks. Yes, it's great. And yes, I mean, it's explosive. I mean, it's highlight worthy. But I mean, to only talk about the Grizzlies, it's a little too much out there. So let's all keep a level head on this Grizzlies team. This was a bad loss last night. You cannot not beat the Celtics with no Jason Tatum. There's really no excuse for that. So Grizzlies, let's kind of take this game. We won't try to overreact to the loss, but let's keep track of this Grizzlies team for the next week to kind of see how they kind of bounce back from this bad loss. We have to remember, this is a bad loss. No matter how many highlights of Ja Morant you see tonight or for the rest of the year, this is a bad loss last night. So shout out to the Celtics for getting the win 120-107. All right, next game up here, and talk about some bad losses. This is a little bit of a bad loss as well. But next game up here, we get the Heat at the Nets, and Kevin Durant's first game back results in a loss. Unfortunate. Heat win 113-107, so Kevin Durant out there by basically his lonesome, couldn't get it done. Where with the Heat, I mean, no Kyle Lowry still, no Jimmy Butler. We had Bam Adebayo playing the 4, and they still get the win, folks. This is not the greatest loss for the Nets. So this was the Heat starting lineup last night. Gabe Vincent at the 1, Duncan Robinson at the 2, Max Strus at the 3, Bam Adebayo at the 4, and Omer Yurtseven at the 5. I mean, what the hell starting lineup is this, right, folks? And they still get the win because Bam Adebayo, 30 points, 6 assists, 11 rebounds. I mean, wow, oh wow. Bam Adebayo talking about stepping up and being aggressive. No Jimmy Butler, no Kyle Lowry. Points have to come from somewhere. And Bam Adebayo said, yeah, I'll lead the team in scoring. Then we had Tyler Hero off the bench, 27 points, 8 assists, second leading scorer, third leading scorer. Caleb Martin coming off the bench, 22 points. This was the starting lineup, folks. Gabe Vincent at the 1, 5 points on 22% shooting. Duncan Robinson doing classic Duncan Robinson thing. Another thing not to fall for, talking about kind of propaganda in the sports media. Ja Morant and the Grizzlies a little bit over propagandized. And also Duncan Robinson. You'll see the kind of stats that Duncan Robinson has like the most three-pointers made for this Heat team, and he's like one of the youngest three-point shooters to like 100 three-pointers or 300 or 500, something like that. You'll see stats of Duncan Robinson's great three-point shooting, but I mean, we don't see it ever kind of coming in the clutch. We don't really ever see it coming when it's truly needed. And then just last night, Duncan Robinson in 31 minutes with no Jimmy Butler, with no Kyle Lowry. This should be Duncan Robinson. Hey, I'm about to be the leading scorer, not Bam Adebayo. Duncan Robinson last night, 0 points, 0 of 3 from the 3. He only took 3 threes last night, missed them all, and put up 0 points. Now, Duncan Robinson still has good defense. That's really the only saving grace for this man of why he's still in the starting lineup. But, man, oh, man, where is the offensive production? Where are those great three-point statistics that I see every single day? So don't fall too much for the Duncan Robinson propaganda either, folks, because it is out there. So Duncan Robinson, 0 points. Gabe Vincent, 5 points. And then Omer Yurtseven at the 5, only played 5 minutes, 2 points. So most of the starters didn't get it done, and they had to rely on the bench and their kind of main star, Bam Adebayo, the only one really kind of playing last night. So well done for the Heat of digging in on the back-to-back, top 2 players out. And now, or hang on, let's wait for that. So yeah, well done for the Heat for the win. And then for the Nets last night, Kevin Durant's first game back, 31 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 47%. Really solid, classic Kevin Durant game last night. We had Andre Drummond, only 8 points and 3 rebounds, kind of letting us down a little bit. Seth Curry letting us down as well, 8 points, 3 assists on 30% shooting, 2 of 7 from the 3. That's not going to get it done. And then Goran Dragic in the starting lineup now last night, 9 points, 7 assists. So, you know, Dragic, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. I mean, we know these players can be great, and we've seen Seth Curry and Andre Drummond be great for this Nets team, but they couldn't all put it together for Kevin Durant last night. And then we had Patty Mills finally doing something okay. Still not the greatest, but better than what he's been doing, I think. 14 points coming off the bench. Still a minus 12, and I don't even know how he did that. 30 minutes off the bench, minus 12. That was the worst plus-minus on the floor for the Nets last night. So Patty Mills with 14 points, shooting 62%, 4 or 5 from the 3. That's like his best game statistic-wise for the entire year, but still somehow managed to be the worst plus-minus on the floor. Worst producer on the floor. So Patty Mills, can't buy into him, can't rely on him, and the Nets lose in Kevin Durant's first game back, 113-107. But some good and bad news for these teams here. Good news for the Heat. Victor Oladipo in the Miami Heat plan for the two-time All-Star to make his season debut on Monday against the Houston Rockets. Yeah, this is really when we're gonna see, is this Heat true playoff championship contenders, or are they a little fraudulent, little bit of pretenders? We'll know a lot more on Monday, and we'll see what this Heat team can do when they get Victor Oladipo. This should be really everything that ties it in together. And Duncan Robinson, I've got some news for you. You're probably not going to be in the starting lineup anymore. Kyle Lowry at the 1, Victor Oladipo at the 2, Duncan Robinson coming off the bench where you belong. So hopefully you've kind of banked all that propaganda that you've really been getting this entire year, because once Victor Oladipo comes back, who cares about Duncan Robinson anymore? Because I will not. So Victor Oladipo making his debut on Monday. Cannot wait for that. And then bad news for the Nets here. Joe Harris is going to be out for the remainder of the season. We were kind of hoping he would be back for the Nets and help out the new big three here. But the great three-point shooter that is Joe Harris is no longer going to be playing this season. Not going to make the return. So truly unfortunate for this Nets team. And once again, we still have Kyrie Irving, can't play at home games at the current moment. Ben Simmons, we don't even know when that man's going to be ready to play. So for this Nets team, folks, it's all kind of crumbling before it has really even started. So Nets get the loss, 113-107, and we'll see when freaking Ben Simmons comes back. Really should be soon, but we'll see. All right, next game up here is the Pistons at the Raptors, and bingo bango, folks, we had the Pistons plus 8.5 points, and we didn't even need any of those points, folks. Pistons get the straight up win, 108-106, but we had that 8.5 point cushion here, and we didn't even need it. Not stressing this win. Pistons were up right from the get-go, had a nice big lead and all that. Got a little bit of close in the fourth quarter, but the Raptors couldn't close out, and the Pistons end up winning by 2, 108-106. So the big three for the Pistons, folks. Respect this big three, because once again, this Pistons team turning the corner. Respect it. Cade Cunningham, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and he had a clutch-ass block on Gary Trent Jr. at the end of the fourth quarter to kind of secure the win. So Cade Cunningham, a fantastic performance. Sadiq Bey, 23 points, 6 rebounds. Jeremy Grant, 26 points, led the team in scoring, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, all getting it done. So big three for the Pistons. I'm loving it. And then we bring in Isaiah Stewart, the big at the 5, 10 points, 8 rebounds, getting it done. And then the bench contribution from Hamidou Diallo, 11 points, 4 rebounds. There's some really good talent here on this Pistons team, folks. Respect it, especially when they're facing kind of below average teams. And so far for this Raptors team, ever since the All-Star break, this is a below average Raptors team. Not at full strength last night. No Fred VanVleet and no OG Anunoby last night. So 2 big outs for the Raptors, and nobody's really kind of able to fill their role. Once again, this Raptors team not the deepest, so when they have to kind of, fill 2 starting spots, not going to get that great of production from everybody else. So Raptors come up short at home, not being able to beat the Pistons. Siakam playing the 4 last night, 28 points. He led the team in scoring on 66% shooting. We had Malachi Flynn filling in at the 1 for Fred VanVleet, 11 points, 1 assist. That's nothing like Fred VanVleet, folks, and he was a minus 18 on the floor. I mean, that's not Fred VanVleet. So Malachi Flynn letting us down. We had Ken Birch at the 5, 2 points, 3 rebounds in 20 minutes. What the hell is going on there? Scotty Barnes helping us out a little bit. The rookie, 21 points, 10 rebounds. Yes, sir, get it done. And then off the bench, we can shout out Precious, 18.7 rebounds, getting it done. But other than that, everybody else letting us down, especially Gary Trent Jr., 14 points, but on 17% shooting on 23 shots, folks. He took like 8 more shots than the second leading shooter, which was Siakam, who deserves all those shots. And Gary Trent Jr. went and shot 17% and got blocked by Cade Cunningham right at the end of the game to secure their win. So Pistons get the big ol' win here. We took it, cashed in on the plus 8.5, didn't even need it, and they get the win 108-106. All right, next game up here, we get the Warriors at the Mavericks, and the Mavericks get the win. Once again, one of our picks last night, Mavericks minus 1.5, and they win by 9, 122-113. Watch out for this Mavericks team, folks. They outdid the Warriors, folks. They out-warriored the Warriors. This Mavericks team is all about the three-point shot, the outside shooting. That's what the Warriors are all about, especially with no great big and no Draymond Green. And the Mavericks end up beating the Warriors at their own game. This Mavericks team is great, folks. Do not sleep on this Mavericks team. Luka Doncic last night, 41 points, 9 assists, 10 rebounds, so close to a triple-double. We had Jalen Brunson, 14 points. Dwight Powell, the 5, 13 points. Dorian Finney-Smith, 18 points. Reggie Bullock, 14 points. And then off the bench, Spencer Dinwiddie, the newest addition, 17 big old points. They shot 17 of 37 from the 3, 45%. And get this, Davis Bertans didn't even score any points last night. They were able to win and shoot this great three-point percentage as a team, 45%, without Davis Bertans scoring any points and going 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Yeah, deep. And there's three-point shooters everywhere, folks. Everybody that played meaningful minutes took at least 1 3. Even the big Dwight Powell at the 5 taking 1 3. Missed it, but still took it. Everybody is lethal from the 3 here on this Mavericks team, and so far it's kind of working, folks. We know we say this is a big's world, but the Mavericks were like, hey, we're trying to bring back kind of the OG kind of outside shooting game. Prime time Warrior shooting game, prime Splash Brothers shooting game, and so far it is working for the Mavericks. They are the 5th seed in the Western Conference and about 3 games from moving to the 4th seed, so it is working for them. They are the outliers here, folks, and the Mavericks once again won last night. And then for the Warriors, Steph Curry, 21 points, 9 assists, shot 4 of 5 from the 3. Klay Thompson, only 16 points last night, shot 2 of 8 from the 3. So no great performances by the Splash Brothers. Well, who are we going to get great productions from if it's not them two? So that's why the Warriors lose, like we know. Andrew Wiggins hasn't really been stepping it up as much as we really need him to be. I mean, no Draymond Green and still having Kevin Looney be kind of your main 5. We need Andrew Wiggins to truly channel his inner all-star. Everybody, well, he was voted for the all-star, got in the all-star game, and is not playing like an all-star after the all-star break. So Andrew Wiggins really letting us down as of recently, and we absolutely hate that. And then let's also shout out Jordan Poole, always kind of reliable, coming off the bench, 23 points, led the team in scoring, just not enough from everybody else to keep up. So Mavericks get the win, 122-113. All right, last 2 games. Here we go. First one up here, Kings at the Spurs, and the Kings get the 3-point win, 115-112. Domantas Sabonis getting a win. Yeah, all righty, turning the corner. No, but, it's a good start of a win here. Sabonis only 12 points and 12 rebounds. Once again, it doesn't matter how well Sabonis plays, how bad he plays, what his overall production is. He really has no outcome in the win and the loss. So, classic Sabonis, 12 points. Shout out to Harrison Barnes, 27 points. De'Aaron Fox, 26 points, 9 assists. Dante DiVincenzo, 11 points coming off the bench. Enough for them all to really kind of help out with the win last night. And then for the Spurs, keeping it close but couldn't close out the game, we had DeJounte Murray, 29 points, 7 assists, 12 rebounds. Jacob Poeltl at the 5, 16 points, only 6 rebounds. And then Devin Vassell with 14 points. And then Lonnie Walker coming off the bench, leading the team in scoring with 30 big old points. Unfortunately, just could not close out the game down the stretch. So Kings get the 3-point win, 115-112. And then the final game of the night, Lakers at the Clippers. And the Lakers doing classic Lakers things, getting blown out by subpar teams. And they get absolutely smacked by 21, 132-111 to the Clippers. Now, this Clippers team, they show us, these great glimpses here. Great production by really everybody last night on the Clippers, but we only really see that against the bad teams, and we know the Lakers are a really, really bad team. So, if Paul George ever comes back this season, if Kawhi Leonard ever comes back this season, we can really re-buy into the Clippers because their role players have been holding it down. But you can't really get too excited on this Clippers team. They've been flawless after the All-Star break, but their level of competition has kind of been a little bit lackluster, and that was really a reason why we had a tough time finding a spot for the Clippers in the top 10 in our power rankings. But last night, Reggie Jackson, 36 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. What a game. A plus 44 on the floor, folks. Man, oh man, holy moly. Reggie Jackson truly getting it done here for the Clippers as of late. We had Zubac at the 5, 19 points, 9 rebounds. Marcus Morris, 14 points. And then look at this bench production. Isaiah Hartenstein, 12 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Luke Kennard, 11 points. And then Robert Covington, 12 points, 2 steals, 3 assists, 7 rebounds last night. So everybody helping out for this Clippers win. And then for the Lakers, we had LeBron James playing the 4, not back at the 5 like he was the other game. LeBron at the 4, 26 points, 4 assists, 8 rebounds. Still no Anthony Davis, so Dwight Howard fills in, 2 points, 1 rebound in 16 minutes, real productive. Russell Westbrook, we got 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, only 2 turnovers, still a minus 15 on the floor. Malik Monk, 12 points on only 9 shots. I mean, Malik Monk, please take over the scoring. Please demand it, command the ball. Who else are we saving shots for? Yes, let LeBron get his shots, obviously, because you're always going to rely and count on the king. But Malik Monk, let's start demanding the ball a little bit more. We need some outside shooters. We know Russell Westbrook can't shoot outside. LeBron James is okay, streaky. Definitely this season streaky. We know he can be good, but really streaky this year. Malik Monk, demand the ball, command the ball. This really you should be like the number 1 scorer really every single game if this Lakers team wants to win. So Malik Monk only taking 9 shots last night. I don't love that. Carmelo off the bench, 13 points. We had Wayne Ellington coming off the bench, 12 points last night. That was pretty solid in only 11 minutes. But man, oh man, this Lakers team, they're dysfunctional. There's absolutely no bettability on this team, negative bettability on this Lakers team, if you will. And we saw why last night. So Clippers beat the Lakers 132-111. And then the last thing to talk about here quickly before we get into the betting side of the NBA tonight, we get this. DeAndre Jordan has cleared waivers and will sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. So 76ers officially kind of getting DeAndre Jordan, which is good. We'll see how good it is, but it is just good at the current moment. We know DeAndre Jordan really kind of past his prime, hasn't really been able to be made work with the Nets or the Lakers here. So going to the 76ers, shoring up their big depth a little bit, and we'll see how it all plays out for the 76ers. And we'll see if DeAndre Jordan can give us that same great production that we were getting from Andre Drummond. I don't think he can, but let's see if he can. So DeAndre Jordan to the 76ers, it is kind of official. All right, that was all the NBA from last night. Now let's see what we have on tap tonight in the NBA. And if there's any 2.5, 3-point spread games, let's kind of truly get into it and make sure we are on the right side of those bets today if there are any. So here we go. Tons of games on in the NBA tonight, so tons of value to parse through and get the best value out of. So let's see if we can do that today. So here we go. First game up is the Cavs at the 76ers. Cavs plus 7.5, 76ers minus 7.5 here. Let's check the ins and outs. For the Cavs, Karis LeVert is still out, folks, and Rajon Rondo is a game-time decision. So we get Darius Garland, which is good, but once again, this Cavs team letting us down really big time as of recent. 2-game losing streak, getting blown out by the Hornets the other night here. They need their scoring depth. And Karis LeVert being out does not provide that scoring depth. Then for the 76ers, Tobias Harris is a game-time decision, and DeAndre Jordan is just not quite ready to make his 76ers debut as of yet. So 76ers only minus 7.5 here. I think I'm going to take it. Yeah, we're going to take this. 76ers minus 7.5. James Harden and Joel Embiid have been fantastic. James Harden just played his first game in Philadelphia, got it done against the Knicks. This Cavs team, I mean, we like Jared Allen, and I don't want this to come off as disrespectful to Jared Allen, but I mean, against Joel Embiid, I mean, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get bad for Jared Allen, and we know Jared Allen isn't kind of the most dominant scorer. You know, he's always kind of a solid 14, maybe 15 points a game, nothing extraordinary, nothing fantastic. Always a solid kind of 15-10, 15-12 type of player. So, going against, Joel Embiid, not going to be that pretty. James Harden, stunting on the Cavs. Both these teams aren't that deep coming off the bench, but we know the 76ers starting lineup truly gets it done. So 76ers minus 7.5 here. This Cavs team is on kind of the cusp of proving if they are the real deal or not, or if the beginning half of the season was a little bit of a fluke. We're starting to figure teams out way more clearly at the back end of the season that just started with the resumption of the All-Star resumption after the All-Star break. So 76ers minus 7.5 here seems like maybe a little bit too much to swallow, but I don't think it is going to be that. I think the 76ers team dominates 15-20 point win here. The Cavs, and that's going to be the narrative around the Cavs kind of moving forward. Are they fraudulent? I don't want that to be the headlines, but that's what's going to be the headlines, in the next couple of days, folks. So it's unfortunate. We still love this Cavs team, but we definitely need Karis LeVert back as soon as possible. 76ers minus 7.5. We will swallow those points. All right, next game up is the Hawks at the Wizards. Hawks on the back-to-back, so we stay away from it. Then we get the Pacers at the Pistons. Ooh, this is an interesting kind of two teams potentially turning the corner. We know the Pistons a little bit better than the Pacers, but maybe, they get it done. Maybe. We'll see. But Pacers at the Pistons. Pistons on the back-to-back, so we will stay away from this one. And two bad teams overall. Pacers -3, Pistons +3. We're not going to touch this one. Absolutely not going to touch this one. So staying away from that one. Then we get the Bucks at the Bulls. Ooh, all right, Bulls on the back-to-back, so we got to stay away from this game. Bulls +4.5, Bucks -4.5, and y'all know what we say about the Bulls. They can't beat the upper echelon playoff contenders, and the Bucks are in the playoffs, folks. So if you are going to bet this game, stay away from the Bulls +4.5. That's not good value, but it is a back-to-back, so we will officially stay away from it. All right, then we get the Magic at the Raptors. Magic +7, Raptors -7. Raptors on the back-to-back, so we stay away from this one. Real interesting spread here. Let me check the ins and outs. Fred VanVleet must be playing for the Raptors if it's -7. Fred VanVleet, a game-time decision. OG Anunoby is still out, and Thaddeus Young is a game-time decision. So I would expect Fred VanVleet to play, but the Raptors on the back-to-back, we stay away from it. And I don't even believe in the Magic to win this game, even with the 7, because once again, we get 76ers odds changing, only -7 now. Look at y'all. Y'all are betting the Cavs with the points. I don't know if that's the right way to go, folks, but better value for us, so we will absolutely take that. But back to the Magic at the Raptors. Magic, once again, there's just really no bettability or even believability on that team, still letting us down as of recently. Just couldn't beat the Pacers in overtime their last game. I mean, come on, can't get much worse than that. So staying away from Magic and the Raptors. Next game up, and ooh, what a game, what a game. Is this on television tonight? This should be. We got any games on TV tonight? Don't think so. Oh yeah, we got Knicks at Suns on ESPN. We got a doubleheader. Is Cavs Suns? No, or Cavs 76ers isn't on. What other game is on ESPN? Is it going to be Bucks Bulls? Are they showing that? Yeah, all right. So Bucks Bulls at 7:30, and then Knicks Suns at 10 o'clock on ESPN for the doubleheader tonight. All right. I really wish this Jazz Pelicans team game was on television tonight, but all right. Yeah, so here we go. Jazz at the Pelicans. Jazz -4, Pelicans +4. And man, oh man, we love this Pelicans team, folks, getting +4 points. And this is real interesting because there's a lot of movement with both these teams in our power rankings. So Jazz -4, Pelicans +4. I think this is a respectful ass spread for the Pelicans set by Vegas, because you show me this spread maybe a week, 2 weeks ago before the All-Star break. This should be Pelicans +8, 9. Now it's only Pelicans +4. So well done for the Pelicans. But the ins and outs, we get everybody good to go for the Jazz. Jared Butler's just a game time decision. And then for the Pelicans, everybody is good to go as well. Just the usual suspects. Larry Nance Jr., Zion Williamson obviously out. So I get this Pelicans team, folks, ready to kind of, be the real deal. The big three, McCollum, Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, able to hopefully lock up this deep Jazz team out here. And once again, we like to put our money where our mouth is, folks, to truly show, hey, that, we don't just say things to say things. We truly believe in those. And how much more believability do we have to show than putting our own money on the line with these teams? I'm going to take the Pelicans +4. We've been talking up the Pelicans, and honestly, right before the show, about 20 minutes before the show started, I tweeted out a little bit of a clip from our show yesterday when we were talking up the Mavericks, only -1.5 points, and we told y'all, do not sleep on the Mavericks or the Pelicans, especially when betting, and here we go, getting the Pelicans +4 points against a really good Jazz team. This is how much I believe in the Pelicans and what we say. I'm taking the Pelicans +4 and calling it great value, folks. Pelicans, go get it done tonight. Beat this Jazz team. We know you can beat them. At least cover the spread at minimum so we can keep you in our good graces. Pelicans +4. We are taking that. Yes, sir. Valanciunas versus Rudy Gobert. We'll see which big comes out on top, but I've got my money on the Pelicans with the points tonight. Yes, sir. Go out and show out, Pelicans. All right, next game up here, final 3 games. Here we go. We got the Timberwolves at the Thunder. The Thunder just beat a real good team their last game, folks. They just went and beat the Nuggets. Real solid win. Timberwolves -9.5 here. We like this Timberwolves team, but once again, this Thunder team is sneaky good, especially without Luguentz Dort. So let's check the ins and outs, and if Luguentz Dort is still out, we're staying away from this big spread. Timberwolves -9.5, Thunder +9.5. For the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is out. So, yeah, right off the rip, we're staying away from the Timberwolves. No Anthony Edwards, no bet here. No thank you. So, not taking this game. Anthony Edwards out for the Timberwolves. Jared Vanderbilt, also a game-time decision. And then for the Thunder, we get Luguentz Dort still out. Josh Giddey still out. Jeremiah Robinson Earl still out. So, usual suspects out still for this Thunder team. But that just means the Thunder win this game. So, I would stay away overall from betting the Timberwolves. We're not touching this game. All right, then we get the Rockets at the Nuggets. Rockets +14, Nuggets -14. And trust me, folks, we love this Nuggets team, but I don't know if I love them double-digit point-wise. Once again, we just told you the Thunder beat the Nuggets, and the Nuggets were like just that spread, like -9.5, -10. And now you want to sell me a Nuggets -14 against this Rockets team? I can't do that. We love the Nuggets, but not swallowing 14 points. I'd feel comfortable swallowing like 6.5, 7. I think that's the most I would go on this Nuggets team, but not 14. No, thank you. So, for the Rockets, Dennis Schroeder's a game-time decision, and then for the Nuggets, everybody's good to go there. So, that doesn't change my opinion. We're staying away from this one. Big spread, no thank you. And oh my God, what the hell is this? Honestly, what the hell is this, folks? Knicks at the Suns. Knicks +6.5. Suns -6.5, folks. Once again, our sponsor, the New York Knicks, and we only have to swallow 6.5 points here. Easy peasy. I don't even care who's out for the Suns. We know Chris Paul's out, but who cares who else is out here? Everybody. Devin Booker. Oh my goodness. Devin Booker is out with COVID-19. They're still doing that? COVID-19 is still a thing? I thought it was done. But Devin Booker's out. Chris Paul's out. And so who's going to get it done for the Suns? We're going to have to believe big time in Cameron Payne and Cameron Johnson. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. No Devin Booker, no Chris Paul, and we still have to swallow 6.5. That's fine. It's the New York Knicks on the road. This New York Knicks team is trash, folks. We gave everybody the clearance the last time the Knicks played to call this Knicks team trash and call them garbage. And I know those are charged words and it's charged language, but that's what they are, folks. This is a garbage team, not closing out games in the fourth quarter. That's garbage. That's garbage. That proves you're not a good team. Anybody can play in the first and second quarter when really nothing is really mattering as much as the fourth quarter, when you have to close it out at the end of the game. Blowing leads, losing to the 76ers in the same fashion in back-to-back games. How embarrassing is that? Knicks cannot beat any team out here. A good team, bad team, a good team missing all of their star players. They would still lose this game. The Knicks guard play is the worst thing I have seen in the NBA in maybe the last decade, folks. It's so atrociously bad, this Knicks guard play. Yes, I'm talking to you, Evan Fournier. Jeez Louise. Derrick Rose is still out, so good luck there. Suns minus 6.5. We clear it. Bet against our sponsors, folks. The New York Knicks, it always cashes. So, Suns minus 6.5. This is a guaranteed hitter right there facing the Knicks. We'll take the Suns minus 6.5. Absolutely. So, here it is, folks. We got 3 good values tonight. We got 76ers minus 7, Pelicans plus the 4, and the Suns minus 6.5 points tonight. Love it all. Alrighty, that was no. That was not all the NBA we had to go over. Now let's head into our NBA power rankings. So we talked about the games from last night. We bet on the games tonight. Now let's head over to our power rankings, where we update it for the first time since the All-Star break, folks. So we do this every Friday. We take a week of action, reorder the power rankings, and then wait a week, see how the week plays out, and do the same thing. We do this every week on Fridays. Now, these power rankings that you are seeing right here, folks, these are what we had at the All-Star break. A couple days before the resumption of the season, we talked through all the teams and all that, and we came up with this top 10 at the All-Star break, and here it is. Raptors at 10, Mavs at 9, Celtics at 8, Cavs at 7, Bucks at 6, Jazz at 5, Warriors at 4, 76ers at 3, Grizzlies at 2, and the Suns, the number 1 team in the NBA, at the All-Star break. Now, it's been a week since the resumption of the season, last Thursday to this Friday, March 4th. So, let's reorder, and folks, we've got a lot of shake-up here, and we said this at the top of the show, folks, but we are taking this first week back into big-time consideration, and we are weighing this week of games that all these teams played. We are weighing this week very heavily. You had a week to prepare, a week off. Getting fresh, getting kind of acclimated to the final stretch, making that playoff push here. And some teams showed out fantastic, and some teams really floundered, not taking advantage of their kind of easier schedule here this week and losing some really winnable games for most of these teams. So, weighing what we just saw this week, very, very heavy in our power rankings, and with that comes a ton of shakeup. We got 3 new teams in the top 10. We have a new number 1. I'll say it right here. We have a new number 1, and we've got some big jumps all over the place. So, before we start reordering the top 10 here, I want to tell you why we are removing the teams that we are removing. So, the first, we've got 3 teams out, so 3 new teams as well. Shout out to those new teams. But the 3 teams that we are moving out, and because of why, first team is the Raptors at number 10. They are out of the top 10. They have gone through this skid, this streak. Yes, they haven't been the healthiest. Some players in and out of the lineup here over the last week of games, but that's what we love about the Raptors. Nick Nurse getting the best out of the role players, and we have not gotten that. They went 3 They went 2-3 in their 5 games this week. They beat the Nets twice. All right, it's the Nets. I mean, it's unfortunate, but the Nets are a trash team. So beating them twice, the second game only winning by 1 point, not the greatest there. And then you lose to the Hornets, the Hawks, and the Pistons, who are literally all turning the corner since that All-Star break. So unfortunate for the Raptors, and I know no Fred VanVleet for a couple of games. No OG Anunoby for a couple of games. We get it, but at the end of the day, I mean, what makes a good team is their depth as well and overcoming. We just saw the Celtics overcome with no Jaylen Brown last night and look really good while doing so. So it's unfortunate, but the Raptors do have to be kicked out of the top 10 here. Obviously, they can work their way back, but they're going to have to get it done. They are going to have to get it done before they crack the top 10 again. So Raptors out at number 10. We are removing the Cavs from the top 10. The number 7 Cavs here. Not a great week. They went 1-3 this week, beating the Wizards. Once again, all right, not the greatest win, but then losing to the Pistons, the Timberwolves, and the Hornets. Once again, all teams turning the corner, looking real good, and this Cavs team just not looking as dominant like they were before the All-Star break. And once again, no Darius Garland, no Karis LeVert for a couple games. We understand it, but once again, we got to look at the depth and who's going to step up, the role players stepping up, and Jared Allen letting us down, with him being kind of the main guy out on the floor for the majority of these games here because of the injuries. We don't get Jared Allen stepping up. So, you're now superstar. You're big, not getting it done in a Bigs world, not getting it done, leaving a real bad taste in our mouth. So, Cavs got to move them outside the top 10 as well. And then the last team we are just being done with, folks, and this team was in the top 5, and we're moving them out, folks. We are done with the nonsense. We're not putting up with any nonsense, and so far this Warriors team at number 4 has been showing us a lot of nonsense as of recently. They went 1-3 this last week, beating the Blazers. Once again, a Nurkic-less Blazers team, that's nothing. So they beat the Blazers, not that good of a win. Losing to the Mavericks twice is concerning because the Mavericks are beating the Warriors at their own game, out shooting them from 3. That's all the Mavericks do, folks. They got rid of Porzingis at the trade deadline. They don't really have bigs anymore. They are an outside shooting team, living and dying, and they are living for the most part here, beating the Warriors at their own game. Kevon Looney, no Draymond Green. I mean, they've got no bigs. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson can't splash brother their way back into kind of, winning against the great teams. Jordan Poole still giving us great performances, but not enough to win these games. So I'm done with the nonsense for the Warriors here. I'm moving them all the way from number 4 outside the top 10 until we get Draymond Green back, until we start getting some better big play by this Warriors team. They will not be in the top 10, folks. Steph Curry not getting it done, not being as explosive, not being able to single-handedly win games like we've seen them be able to do in the past. Done with the Warriors at number 4. Get them out of here, folks. Get them out of here. So, Raptors, Cavs, Warriors, all out of the top 10 here, but that just means 3 new teams, so we could definitely cheer and champion those new teams hitting the top 10. So, with all that being said, let's start to reorder our top 10. Here we go. Let's start at number 10 here, and this is where our first new team comes in, folks. The new number 10 team is the Miami Heat. All right, just getting inside the top 10 here. They went 4-1 over their last 5 games this week. They beat the Knicks, the Spurs, the Bulls, and the Nets. Now, these aren't the greatest wins overall. Needed a team here to kind of fill, and this was kind of the best team that we saw so far. The Spurs are kind of okay, the Bulls are just kind of okay, the Knicks are trash, and the Nets, once again, they're trash as well. Why we have them at number 10 is because their loss against the Bucks, and really we would have moved this Heat team higher than 10 if they beat that Bucks team. They had the lead, they beefed it down late in that game, having like a 7-8 point lead with 3 minutes left and still beefing it, only losing by 1. We have a bad taste with this Heat team in our mouth. But kind of going 4-1 is solid, beating the teams that they should be beating, being competitive against, the upper echelon tier teams, the playoff caliber, championship caliber teams like the Bucks. So we're going to give this Heat team a little bit of a free pass of beefing it against the Bucks because they were competitive. But I mean, that's like the last free pass we're giving the Heat really for the entire year, especially with Victor Oladipo coming back on Monday. There's no more free passes. So we're going to give the Heat the benefit of the doubt of beefing the game against the Bucks. Once again, we reorder these every Friday, so on Monday we'll be able to kind of see with Victor Oladipo, and there's no more excuses. So we'll give this Heat team the benefit of the doubt. We'll give them a little bit of a springboard here at number 10 to see how this week plays out with Victor Oladipo. But if it's not good, we'll redrop them outside the top 10. But if it's great, we can definitely see them start climbing. So Heat getting the 10th seed here. Just winning last night really kind of secured their top 10 with no Jimmy Butler, with no Kyle Lowry, and Duncan Robinson not doing really anything and having kind of their depth play and Bam Adebayo be aggressive and all that and taking care of business last night. So we give this Heat team the number 10 seed in our power rankings. Alrighty, so Heat at 10. Here we go. New number 9 team here. A new team in the top 10. We are going the Timberwolves. Yeah, love their big three: Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards has kind of been letting us down the last couple of games, only putting up like less than 10 points in that kind of 3-game stretch that he had, the little bit of a funk that he went through. But the Timberwolves were still winning games with Anthony Edwards kind of floundering. So shout out to the depth of the Timberwolves starting to kind of emerge a little bit. Over the last week for the Timberwolves, they went 3-1, beating the Grizzlies, beating the Cavs, beating the Warriors, getting blown out by the 76ers. That game, it was on a back-to-back, so we can give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Not a huge benefit of the doubt because it was a big blowout, like a 25-plus blowout loss for the Timberwolves. But, I mean, beating the Grizzlies, that's an upper echelon team. The Cavs, the Warriors, those were all teams in our top 10 heading into this week. And the Timberwolves really kind of took care of business. Really no problem. So loving the emergence here of the Timberwolves. What are they in their last 10? Because they are making their way here in the conference standings. 6-4 in their last 10. I mean, just about 2.5 games back from that 6th seed of cracking the top 6 and not having to play in the play-in tournament. So Timberwolves rising here. Watch out for this Timberwolves team. Once Anthony Edwards truly gets back on track here, this Timberwolves team is looking to kind of shoot up in the power rankings, shoot up in the standings, and this is going to be a tough out for any team that has to face this Timberwolves team in the playoffs at any point in time. So love the Timberwolves here, and we put them at number 9. Alrighty, number 8 team, and we're moving this team up just a tad, one spot here. Really kind of looking to move this team up a little bit more, but compared to what everybody else did this week, we have to just take it a little bit light and a little bit slow because their opponents this week weren't anything special. But the new number 8 team is going to be the Mavericks. They move up from number 9 to number 8 here. Now, for the Mavericks this week, they had a little bit of an easy week here. They went 3-1 this week. They beat the Lakers and the Warriors twice. We know the Warriors aren't that good of a team. That's why we moved them out of the top 10. And beating the Lakers, they're a trash team as well. They lost to the Jazz, who's a very good team, but they only lost by 5. So kept it competitive against that Jazz team, all of that. Beating the teams and kind of dominating the teams, beat the Warriors back-to-back games, or I think they had a game break, but overall playing the same team 2 times in a week. I mean, you expect the other team to kind of figure out and, change what they did to be competitive, and we didn't get that at all by the Warriors. Kind of Mavericks blew them out twice, so Mavericks looking good. Luka Doncic, the 3-point barrage that is this Mavericks team. I mean, really kind of we are in the bigs world right now where you need a dominant big to be competitive, to be consistent in this league, folks. And the Mavericks don't have that. They just got rid of Porzingis. This is the only team that is truly living by the 3-point shot. There's a lot of teams that live and die by the 3-point shot. The Warriors, and they've been dying by that 3-point shot as of recently. But this Mavericks team is living by it, folks. Currently, this Mavericks team is fifth in the Western Conference, climbing up the ranks here because of the three-point shot. 8-2 in their last 10, getting it done. Warriors are 3-7 in their last 10. So you still need a big here, but the Mavericks are the one kind of defying that narrative. So shout out to the Mavericks. They are consistent. They're getting it done. Luka Doncic is looking fantastic, like always, and they're continuing to get better and continuing to kind of be competitive and beat the upper echelon team. So Mavericks, we'd move you up a little bit more if you had some more solid wins this week, but overall you took care of business when you every single game. So we got to give some credit to that, and we move them up one seed here. Alrighty, here we go. New number 7 team and the final new team in the top 10 this week. We are going the Pelicans. Yes, sir, we are taking the Pelicans here. And once again, real interesting. We just bet on the Pelicans +4 against the Jazz this week. So this is going to be a huge, monumental top 10 matchup tonight with the Pelicans at home plus the 4 points. And I think they can take care of business. And that's going to play a huge part next week in our power rankings, depending on who wins this game, Pelicans or the Jazz. We haven't gotten to the Jazz yet. You can see they are in the top 6, but look for them to be a little bit higher than lower, if you catch my drift. We'll get to that in a minute, folks. But back to the Pelicans here at number 7. Love their big 3, and yes, it is an official big 3, folks. Do not disrespect this Pelicans team. Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and CJ McCollum. That is a big 3 that needs big 3 levels of respect. They got the big, they got the defense intermediate game of Brandon Ingram, and then they got the outside scoring ability of CJ McCollum, and then you sprinkle in a Jackson Hayes every now and then. That just truly completes this Pelicans team. Love everything about them, and they've been winning, folks. In the last week, the Pelicans, they have gone 3-0, all blowout wins against the Suns, the Lakers, and the Kings, folks. 15-point plus wins on all those teams. Yes, the Lakers and the Kings aren't good, but they blew them out by like 20 plus, and then they face the Suns, and yes, no Chris Paul, but they still beat them by 15. They're taking care of business and not apologizing while doing so, and now they've got this Jazz team next up, folks, ready to kind of be like, hey, we're ready to keep up this 15-plus point win streak here and beating a really good Jazz deep team. So Pelicans, shout out to them. Shout out to the Pelicans +4 tonight, and we got them sitting here at number 7, folks. Love this Pelicans team. Alrighty, here we go. Let's keep climbing. The new number 6 team is going to stay the Bucks. Bucks do not move. They stay at number 6 for the week, really because they lost to the Nets. I mean, they're 2-1 over the last week. They beat the Hornets and the Heat. Should have lost to the Heat, but a good comeback in the fourth quarter. We give the Bucks some respect for that. But then losing to the Nets is never acceptable. That was no Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was not playing at that time. So losing to the Nets is inexcusable. They are really bad. They're really bad, and the Bucks are too good to be losing against trash teams like the Nets. Yes, folks, the Nets are trash. They're not in the top 10. I have no interest in putting them inside the top 10. Kevin Durant couldn't get it done last night with nobody, facing nobody on that Heat team. No Jimmy Butler, no Kyle Lowry, and Kevin Durant couldn't get it done himself. I mean, this is really not a good Nets team, folks. So not going to have the Nets in the top 10 anytime soon until they kind of prove it to us. I don't know what kind of the national media's top 10 is at the current moment, but I would expect them to put the Nets in the top 10 and force them in the top 10 for some reason because they have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant on the team, even though they can't play together and all that, but we digress. But the Bucks will give them one more week to truly show what they are capable of. Once again, we are a little concerned on the Bucks of not having that good guard depth there. We think that's really going to be the crux of the Bucks as we move to the playoffs and all that. So Bucks, we'll leave them at number 6 for one more week, see what they can do, but got to start beating the good teams and not get out of these kind of close wins, close losses, and all that, and start to see some explosive blowout performances like we just got by the Pelicans all week long. So Bucks stay at number 6. Alrighty, new number 5 team here, and this team is falling, folks, big time. The Grizzlies fall from number 2 to number 5, and once again, I think I was a little bit influenced by the just the bombardment of the Grizzlies and Ja Morant propaganda that is all over the national media, folks. This last week has not been great for the Grizzlies, but if you were just checking social media and just checking ESPN, you would think the Grizzlies have gone like 5-0 this last week, beating like the Suns and the 76ers back-to-back and the Bucks and all these great teams, but that is the furthest thing from the truth, folks. They are 2-2 in their last 4 games. They beat the Bulls and the Spurs. We know the Spurs aren't good, and we know the Bulls aren't good. The Bulls are not a good team overall, folks. They do not beat the good teams, and if you do not beat the good teams, that means you are not a good team. So the Bulls are not a good team, so they beat 2 not great teams out there, and then they lost to the Timberwolves and the Celtics, 2 emerging teams. We just had the Timberwolves at number 9. You don't see the Celtics on here yet because that's how high they are. This Celtics team is a great team, and this Grizzlies team not beating the Celtics last night with no Jaylen Brown, and then the backup Nesmith only playing 5 minutes before he gets injured, and the Celtics were still able to overcome all of that and win, dominating 10+ point win for the Celtics last night. Grizzlies, a little bit too much Ja Morant focus. Their 3-point shooting is not consistent and not that great, and if Ja Morant is not leading in every single category, the Grizzlies don't have the greatest chance to win. So we're starting to potentially see the true Grizzlies out here this week. We'll see how they kind of make up for this lackluster week next week, this upcoming week starting today, Friday to Friday. So Grizzlies, let's see, are they actually a good team, or have we fallen victim to a little bit of propaganda? And propaganda gets the best of everybody at some point, folks. That's what propaganda is supposed to do. If propaganda never worked, then there would be no propaganda because everybody sees through it. But there's a lot of propaganda. Especially in today's day, folks, propaganda. I could do a whole, if we weren't just a sports show, folks, I would do a whole hour on just propaganda. But we'll keep it sports propaganda. And so far, folks, Grizzlies. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look. Let's go to ESPN's Twitter account and just count how many posts are Ja Morant and the Grizzlies in maybe the last couple of days. And once again, given they've only been 2-2 this week, there's really no reason to be shouting out Ja Morant in the Grizzlies as much. Actually, Twitter's a little bombarded. Should we just go to Instagram? But let's quickly do the Twitter here. How many they're playing hockey highlights? I don't think I've ever seen hockey come up on my feed, so I don't know where all these are coming from. But let's go to ESPN's Instagram. Let's go to ESPN's Instagram. Let's go to that quickly and see how many posts are with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies and all that. Can we get to this? All right, latest post was somebody's mom in the stands at a Cavs game or Cavs Summer League game. All right, next post. This was 2 hours ago. Here it is. Ja Morant. There it is. A highlight of Ja Morant last night losing against the Celtics. No word on the Celtics. They just compared it to a D Rose lob and slam. That's one post on Ja Morant. Another post here is we get Reggie Jackson crossing over Russell Westbrook. But I mean, folks, when was the last time the Celtics have been posted? The Celtics have not been posted in months, folks, days, folks. But we get Ja Morant in the Grizzlies, big dunk by Ja Morant, but no chirp, no peep of the Celtics last night. So that's what I'm saying, folks. A little bit of propaganda out here. Let's propagandize the Celtics because they deserve to be propagandized because they're that goddamn good. So all that being said, Grizzlies at number 5, and we'll see, are they the real deal or not? We'll get a little bit more information this upcoming week. Let's take a look. What is their schedule? What is their schedule here for this upcoming week that this kind of Grizzlies team can potentially show us that they are actually a good team? Let's quickly see. Grizzlies for the next upcoming week. Next couple of games, we got the Magic, the Rockets, and the Pelicans and the Knicks. I mean, that's kind of their next 4 games there, so not the greatest competition. We'll see what they do against the Pelicans. That's going to be their biggest test this upcoming week, what they can do against the Pelicans, and they better make it count. All right, Grizzlies at number 5. All right, new number 4 team. Once again, no longer the Warriors. They are out of the top 10. And this team dropping from the number 1 seed to the number 4 seed in our power rankings. The Suns are the new number 4 team. And once again, no Chris Paul. We think they can, kind of overcome it a little bit, but how long are they going to be able to do that? Chris Paul out, a game here, a game there. Yeah, absolutely. The Suns would have no problem overcoming it, but now Cameron Payne has to kind of be the guy, be the main facilitator and a solid scoring piece, which he can be. We know he can be, but how long can he keep it up? We know Chris Paul's out for 6 to 8 weeks, so Cameron Payne has, one good game, one good week stretch of games. That's not going to cut it. We are going to need to see Cameron Payne truly get it done for the long haul here. But the last week for the Suns hasn't been that great. They beat the Thunder and the Blazers. Once again, not 2 good teams. But then they lose to the Pelicans and the Jazz. These are good teams. Pelicans up and rising. Number 7. Jazz have yet to be seen here. So they're in the top 3. But overall, the Suns they're the top. They've got the best record in the NBA, folks. So we have to see them be good. Even without Chris Paul, Devin Booker is going to have to step it up even more out here. The role players are going to have to step it up even more. DeAndre Ayton is going to have to step it up at the big position. We just saw Bam Adebayo last night. No Jimmy Butler, no Kyle Lowry, and Bam Adebayo goes to the 4 and puts up 30-plus points and is the leading scorer. DeAndre Ayton, you're going to have to kind of do something along those lines here. We're going to need Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton to both step it up more with the absence of Chris Paul out here, and they haven't been doing that as great as kind of I need them to be. So we dropped the Suns down from number 1 to number 4. Alrighty, now here we go. New number 3 team is not a new number 3 team. We are keeping the 76ers here at number 3. Really good week. Good week. Not the best quality of wins, but they're wins nonetheless, and they did not lose all week. So we got to respect that by the 76ers. James Harden comes, and the big 3 of James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid getting it done. And yes, that is a big 3. That is an official big 3. Do not disrespect them. Do not disrespect Tyrese Maxey, but not saying he's big 3 material. He is. So 76ers staying at number 3 here this last week. They beat the Knicks twice. Not that hard. Now, what is impressive, they were down against the Knicks. Knicks had the lead in the first half for the majority, and the 76ers come roaring back and win by double digits every single time, getting it done in the fourth quarter, staying in the course. James Harden, Joel Embiid just, grinding first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, both of those Knicks games, and it pays off with double-digit wins in the fourth quarter. So shout out to the 76ers on that. So we keep them at number 3, and then they also beat the Timberwolves. Really solid, emerging Timberwolves team, and they really blew them out by like 30 points. So really impressive by the 76ers here. Once again, their depth is going to be the biggest question moving forward, but so far they are making it work, and they just brought in DeAndre Jordan, so hopefully that kind of increases them as well. So 76ers staying at number 3 for the week, and we'll see what they do this week to see if they can crack the top 2. Alrighty, new number 2 team, folks, and yeah, I was close to putting this team number 1. I'll take it a tad slow with this team, but I mean, they keep showing out like they showed out this week, this upcoming week. Yeah, the Celtics team will be number 1 next week, so watch out for the Celtics, and the Celtics, hey, prove to us this week you can get it done, and we'll have you at that number 1 spot come next Friday. But I'm putting the Boston Celtics at number 2, folks. What a jump, what a climb from 8 at the start of this week to 2 at the end of this week. Well done to the Celtics, beating teams, beating quality teams, beating the Grizzlies last night with no Jaylen Brown. That is so big time impressive, folks. Over this last week, they went 4-1. They beat the Nets, the Pistons, the Hawks, and the Grizzlies. They lost to the Pacers. Now, that Pacers loss is a really alarming loss, I will say that, but beating the Grizzlies last night with no Jaylen Brown, that is really what we needed to see. That is the true identity of the Celtics. Grinding defense, Marcus Smart getting it done, solid points, facilitating the floor. Jason Tatum has no problem being the superstar on the team. He is always, even with Jaylen Brown on the floor. So it just freed up Jason Tatum to do what he needed to do last night. Al Horford, the bigs. This is a bigs world, folks. Al Horford, the second leading scorer for the Celtics last night against a Grizzlies team, shutting down the Grizzlies, not letting them kind of regain the lead. Like we said, there was only 2 lead changes in the entire game, and none came in the fourth quarter. Celtics closing out games, double-digit lead, great defense. Shout out to the head coach, folks, of keeping the Celtics team right. The addition of Derek White has been fantastic. Grant Williams giving us great games, for the last week. Fantastic. Everything about this Celtics team is great, folks. They are consistent. They are well coached. They've got a superstar. The bigs are getting it done. Not the greatest depth, not the deepest team in the league, but still finding ways to get the point production, to get the defense going, and to beat the better teams in the league. Celtics are at 2, and they are literally this close. The only thing that is separating the number 2 Celtics to the number 1 team that we are about to unveil is really just the depth ability. This number 1 team has a lot more depth than the Celtics, and that's really the only reason why they are the number 1 team. So the Celtics, if you can keep it going this week, let's see what the Celtics have on tap this week, because if they get one great opponent and they can beat them, I'll put them in the number 1 seed this next week. Absolutely. Next week of games, they only play two more games, really. They only play 2 more games. They play on Friday, but, we'll be doing our power rankings before that game is played. But their next 2 games are just the Nets and the Hornets. Then they face the Pistons, the Mavs, the Warriors, the Kings, the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Jazz. They face the Jazz on the 23rd, and that's going to be the big game. And why is that going to be the big game? Because the number 1 seed is the Jazz. So it may be hard for the Celtics team to take that number 1 seed before the 23rd, but it is still possible. That 23rd, yeah. The 23rd we will do. If these are still the top 2 teams come the 23rd, whoever wins that game, we will make an impromptu change to the power rankings to the number 1 team of whoever wins that game. But the number 1 seed is the Jazz, folks. The deep Jazz. So deep, and they had a really good week. Jazz this week, 3-0. They beat the Mavs, the Suns, and the Rockets. We know the Mavs are good. We know the Suns are good. We know the Rockets aren't good. But, hey, they took care of business doing what they had to do. After the All-Star break, everybody healthy, winning games, looking good while doing so, beating the better teams in this league. Donovan Mitchell getting it done. Rudy Gobert, once again, he's not a tier 1 big, nothing special, but just classic Rudy Gobert. And classic Rudy Gobert has been able to make it work for the last couple of seasons. Defensive Player of the Year, Jazz getting, high seeds in the playoffs and all that. So it's still getting it done. And then you bring in, you keep Jordan Clarkson, obviously. Great, 6-man, great depth ability on the bench. Rudy Gay, Hassan Whiteside, deep dish pizza, folks. Then you still got Bogdanovich and Mike Conley and Royce O'Neal. I mean, there's just so many players on this Jazz team. They're deep and they're healthy, and they're winning games, and we really can't say that with everybody else in the top 10. Celtics not as deep as the Jazz. 76ers not as deep as the Jazz. Suns not as healthy as the Jazz. Grizzlies not as good consistently as the Jazz. Grizzlies are a little deep like the Jazz, but not as consistent. Starters bench like the Jazz. The Bucks are not as deep as the Jazz. The Pelicans are not as deep as the Jazz. The Mavericks, they're deep with 3-point shooters. They just don't have like a Rudy Gobert. The Timberwolves, not as deep as the Jazz and the Heat. They're deep. They're good. They're solid. Not as consistent as the Jazz. So the Jazz, the number 1 team in the league here. They're healthy and they're deep, and that's all you need. And it's unfortunate, but that's what basketball is, a long season, 82 games, and then 7-game playoff series and all that. Really, whoever wins the championship is usually the deepest, healthiest team. And at this point, a week after the All-Star break, the Jazz are the deepest, healthiest team. They beat the Suns this week. They beat the Mavs this week because they're deep and because they're healthy, and that's why the Jazz are number 1 here, folks. They're still good. I mean, these are still ballers. They're just not scrubs that are healthy, folks. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Bohan Bogdanovich getting it done. So Love this Jazz team. Deep dish pizza, folks. And once again, Hassan Whiteside, the big depth. Rudy Gay is now a bench option. How crazy is that? So, shout out to the Jazz. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell for doing his thing, folks. Still fantastic. Facilitator, scorer, leader, clutcher. He does it all, folks. Jazz are the number one team. Alrighty, so our new top 10 in the NBA re-updated next Friday. Before this week, we are rocking with the Heat at 10, the Timberwolves at 9, the Mavs at 8, the Pelicans at 7, the Bucks at 6, the Grizzlies at 5, the Suns at 4, the 76ers at 3, the Celtics at 2, and the Jazz at number 1, folks. New top 10 in the NBA. Alright, so we'll see how this week plays out in the NBA and revisit this next week, folks. Alrighty, that is all the NBA we had to go over for today. So now let's shift gears to the NFL. And alright, the NBA took us a little bit longer than I thought it was, but I think we can still at least start our final thoughts. But before we get into that, 4 quick stories, and we can truly go over these quickly. First one up here. Once again, we are hearing this and continuing to hear this here, and we do not love it at all or like it at all. The Cowboys are, quote, likely to release Amari Cooper before the start of the new league year, per Adam Schefter. So we've been hearing, hey, it's going to be Amari Cooper that's going to get cut. It's going to be Amari Cooper. They're keeping Zeke 100%. The general manager said, hey, we're keeping Zeke. But when asked about Amari Cooper, they're like, well, this is too early for us to call. We can't really say anything yet. So seeming like they're going to get rid of Amari Cooper, we absolutely hate that decision, folks. Amari Cooper is Dak Prescott's best weapon, folks, and here are the stats to back it up. Here we go. Dak Prescott with Amari Cooper in 44 games they've played together. Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper, 44 games. Here are the stats. Dak Prescott has 102.9 passer rating, 13,000 yards, 88 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, and a 67%, rounded up to 68% completion percentage in games with Amari Cooper. Now, let's go games without Amari Cooper. So this is just 44 games, folks. 44 games with Amari Cooper, 13,000 yards, 68% completion percentage, 88 touchdowns, 27 interceptions in 44 games. Now, without Amari Cooper, it's only been 41 games, so only 3 less games, folks. So keep that in mind. 3 less games without Amari Cooper. Dak Prescott goes from 102 passer rating to 93 in only just 3 less games. That's basically nothing, folks, and you drop 9 passer rating points. Then look at the yards. He has 9,000 yards. You drop 4,000 yards. You drop 4,000 yards in just 4 games without Amari Cooper. 55 touchdowns. You drop 33 touchdowns in just 4 games without Amari Cooper, but you keep the same amount of interceptions. I think one more, 23 interceptions. So you go down in passer rating, go down in yards, go down in touchdowns, but go up in interceptions in 4 less games. And then the completion percentage drops from 68% to 64, 65% without Amari Cooper. Do we see why this is concerning and why they should have made Amari Cooper priority number 1 and not Zeke? Why the hell is Zeke priority number 1 out here? Get rid of Zeke and keep Amari Cooper, but they're not doing that because of the whole contract situation. Once again, Jerry Jones, says, hey, this offseason, hey, I will do whatever it takes. I'd even kind of take a little bit of a step back here. But the damage was already done paying Zeke first. Once again, Jerry Jones, you're not the biggest brain in the room. You must take advice from everybody else that kind of knows what they're talking about, because Jerry Jones is ruining this organization. Signing Zeke first, hiring Mike McCarthy. I mean, he's I don't even know if he's a genius. I was going to call him a mad genius at the ownership level, but I don't even think he's a genius, folks. These moves are not genius level moves out here. So absolutely absurd that the Cowboys are this set on getting rid of Amari Cooper, and I know he's expensive and all that, but yeah, you've got to spend in this league. You must make sure the quarterback number one receiver combo is solid. What just won the Super Bowl? Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. That's Amari Cooper is Dak Prescott's Cooper Kupp, folks. And then look at the Bengals, Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. Yes, you need a great number one receiver for your quarterback, and CeeDee Lamb is not it, folks. He's not it. So losing Amari Cooper is detrimental to the Cowboys, folks. And I had to look inside the future, folks. We've been kind of, being funded on the New York Knicks, are sponsored in the NBA, funding single-handedly takes by fans, and funding so much that we were able to kind of buy a little bit of stat technology out here. And we've got some special stat technology that costs so much money. But once again, because of the Knicks, we were able to afford it. And this special stat technology, not even available to a lot of people, folks. I think we're one of the only people that have this technology because we were able to pay for it, because we've got that much money betting against the Knicks every single time. So we've got this special stat technology, folks, that looks inside the future. You type in all the data, all the information here, and we typed in all the information on the Cowboys, but we left one player out, and that was Amari Cooper, folks, and we've seen the future of the Cowboys, folks. Are you ready for these stats that we were able to generate? This is the future next season for the Cowboys without Amari Cooper. Are you ready for this, folks? Cowboys fans, I would cover your ears because it's not good. Without Amari Cooper, if the Cowboys do what they're saying that they are going to do and get rid of Amari Cooper, this is high level technology, folks. I mean, this is industry standard right here, folks. We paid a lot of money for this, so we know it's going to be accurate. Next season, the Dallas Cowboys, folks, will go 3-14. I've seen the future, folks. I ran the numbers. I put them through the algorithm. I put them through the machine. Getting rid of Amari Cooper. Next season, the Dallas Cowboys go 3-14, finish last in the division. Dak Prescott has 27 interceptions with only 14 touchdowns and 3,000 yards. 62% completion percentage for Dak Prescott next season. That's without Amari Cooper. Now, I ran the numbers, I ran the simulation again with Amari Cooper, folks, and this is good. Like, I couldn't even believe what I was seeing, but this is what the machine says, folks, and I paid a lot of money for this machine. And here we go. Amari Cooper with Dak Prescott in the Cowboys next season. The Cowboys win the Super Bowl. I know, I had to run the numbers again. It cost me a lot more money to run it twice, but I had to run it again, and both times it said Cowboys win the Super Bowl. With Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, 51 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions next season, 5,125 yards, and a 68% completion percentage with Amari Cooper. So, do you see the drastic differences that this one player takes, folks? With the Dallas Cowboys, utter trash, 3-14 without him, or Super Bowl champions with them. Jerry Jones, I hope you're watching, because, folks, Jerry Jones wouldn't even be able to afford this technology. I mean, this is how exclusive and expensive it is. And once again, it is all brought to you by the New York Knicks, sponsoring Takes by Fans. So thank you, Knicks. A little bit of money left over from our previous sponsor, the Minnesota Vikings. So thank y'all both. But that's what it is, folks. Don't shoot me. I ran the numbers. I ran the simulation. I paid to run the simulation. And that's what we got. Without Amari Cooper, if they cut him like they plan on doing, they finish 3-14. And if they do keep Amari Cooper, the Dallas Cowboys are Super Bowl champions next season. So that's what it is. That's what it is, folks. I ran the numbers. I ran the simulation. So we absolutely hate it, folks. We absolutely hate it, but it seems like that's what they're doing. So Dallas Cowboys, there's no reason to be optimistic next season. We can cut that out for you right now. Do not even prepare for next season. Just look forward to 2023. That's all we could say. So that's what it is, folks. Unfortunate. Dallas Cowboys making an absolutely fatal mistake here, letting Amari Cooper go. All right, and then quickly here, speaking Thursday, Kevin O'Connell told Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio that he plans to move Minnesota Vikings Justin Jefferson around the formation like the Rams did with Cooper Kupp. So this is great moving forward for the Vikings. We still don't love that Kevin O'Connell likes Kirk Cousins, but Justin Jefferson had a little bit of a down year this year, so getting him into kind of a Cooper Kupp situation where he's all over the field, and if Justin Jefferson can continue to get open, like we saw from Cooper Kupp, yeah, the Vikings offense may be dangerous. So love that we got Kevin O'Connell at the kind of head coaching position here. Just don't love his quarterback. But he's going to be making Justin Jefferson a great receiver again, so we are all about that. Alrighty, and then the final thing here, the 49ers have budgeted, and once again, this is every day. Every day we're getting more and more information of the 49ers maybe not looking to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, okay? So, and it started with Adam Schefter saying, hey, let's temper down the expectations, because I'm hearing it's not a grand slam that he's traded this year. What was the other thing that we just read the other day? Oh, man. What was it? What was it? Let me see if I can go back quickly here. But now we're hearing that, they're budgeting for a plan that keeps Jimmy Garoppolo one more year. So, I don't believe in Trey Lance at all. Oh, yeah, this was it. Jimmy Garoppolo set to undergo shoulder surgery for 16 weeks. He's not going to be able to throw, so who's going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo without being able to see him throw for 16 weeks? So we got Adam Schefter saying, hey, don't expect him to, well, it's not a home run that he gets traded this year. He's going to have shoulder surgery that came out of nowhere, and now they're budgeting for keeping both these players on the squad this season. So why go with Trey Lance? He's not good, folks. We watched him again. We watched him 2 days ago on the show. We had to expedite us watching Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance on the show, and we saw nothing good. Once again, John Lynch gushing over Trey Lance and how much he's grown and how much he's shown and how much he's shown more than what he showed at the combine and growing and all that. And we saw no evidence. We literally saw no evidence of Trey Lance getting any better from week 15 to week 17. We saw nothing good. His athleticism is nothing special. His speed, his dual threat game is nothing special. He's not big, beefy that can take hits. He's going to be a little fragile out there, folks. This is not somebody that you can rely on dual threat ability-wise, I want to say, for an entire year. And if he's going to be your face of the franchise, then you're going to have to make that work year in and year out. And I do not see that at all, folks, at all. So it's every day. Jimmy Garoppolo may not be leaving the 49ers, and if Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance are two quarterbacks on your team, there's no way that Trey Lance outbeats Jimmy Garoppolo, folks. There's absolutely no way. So every day a story tempering down expectations of Jimmy Garoppolo still being on the 49ers, and I think that is absolutely the right case. I do not want to see Trey Lance starting in the NFL anytime soon, folks. Truly anytime soon. So, Trey Lance, folks. I just don't get it, folks. Once again, I just don't get the love, the obsession with Trey Lance. I do not see it at all, folks, at all. But y'all keep seeing it, and y'all keep saying it. I mean, every day I hear, somebody gushing over Trey Lance. Once again, we just heard General Manager John Lynch. I mean, not just gush, folks. I mean, that man was. What was the new word that we were using? I forgot. We looked it up on the thesaurus. But the man was literally, spewing gushing. I mean, glazer? Is it a glacier? What's the when water spurts up from the ground? It's not gushing. It's like a geyser. What does a geyser do? Is he geysering over? What is a geyser? Let me get the definition of geyser. A geyser is a vent in there, so it gushes from the geyser. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't just gushing, folks. John Lynch was the geyser of Trey Lance, gushing all out. I mean, John Lynch is the geyser of Trey Lance. He is the root of all the gushing, folks. He is the Old Faithful, if you will, which is Old Faithful is the world's best known geyser. Man, oh man, all that gushing out of Trey Lance, call that man a geyser, folks, yes? John Lynch geysering for Trey Lance, which we don't see at all, so don't see it, don't love it, and if Jimmy Garoppolo's still going to be here, I say you stick with him, so that's where we are at the current moment. Alrighty, folks. That is unfortunately going to do it. I mean, we are late. We're not late. We're on time. But when we do the final thoughts, I don't want to do the 3 minutes or 5 minutes and then not be able to get it all done. So, once again, I apologize. We're not getting to our final thoughts, but tomorrow we should have time. It's a Saturday, a little bit more of a laid-back show. So tomorrow we should be able to get to our NFL final thoughts for the AFC East. Yeah, we just keep pushing it back. Going late in the show. The power rankings took longer than I thought. We spent too much time talking through the games and all that last night. Just talked too much, folks. And I apologize. I apologize for going a little bit too long and not being able to get what we kind of need to get to. Got to get these final thoughts here. Yesterday we needed it to really start, but we'll see how we can continue to progress, and we will try to get to the final thoughts tomorrow. Wanted to bring up that Amari Cooper information. Had to get that out of there. I mean, we got to talk about breaking up-to-the-date information first, and then we can maybe skip the final thoughts. I don't want to, because once again, I don't want revisionist history writing the narratives for us come next season 7 months from now. But if we have to skip it because we got March Madness coming up, we have to get this done before March Madness. If we do not get it done before March Madness, we cannot do it all. We have to talk about the draft as well, so it is not looking good, folks. There's just too much to talk about. The NFL is always king, folks. Even when there's no games on, there's 3-4 hours of content just to talk about on a daily basis, so we'll see how this all goes, but we're trying our best out here, folks. I want y'all to know we are trying our best to get everything fit into the show that we need to get into for the start of next season and the offseason and all that. We are trying our best. Alrighty, but that is going to do it for us today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're back live tomorrow, noon Eastern, where we don't have to talk about NBA power rankings, so we should be able to get to our NFL final thoughts tomorrow. No promises being made, but we should be able to get to that tomorrow. Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We are back live tomorrow, noon Eastern, doing it all over again. Make a little bit of money in the NBA tonight. Absolutely loving the 76ers -7, Pelicans +4. We're putting our money where our mouth is, and the Suns -6.5. We are betting against our sponsors that gave us the money to buy the technology to know that if you cut Amari Cooper, you will finish 3-14 next season. So if that's what you want, Cowboys, cut Amari Cooper. But if you want to win the Super Bowl, keep Amari Cooper. Simple as that. Alrighty, folks, we are out of here. Have an absolute great one, and we will see you.